This is Algebra 2, Chapter 4, Section 2, in which we will be solving quadratic equations by graphing them. Okay. Remember, quadratic functions that have something equals that are called quadratic equations. Okay, quadratic function we talked about last time was ax squared plus bx plus c. If we put equals something, equals 5, equals 8, equals 0, whatever, now it's become an equation instead of a function. And typically we want to make it look like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's called standard form. Okay. When you find the values that make that equation true, they're either called roots or zeros. Some books use the term roots, some books use the term zeros. Yours kind of goes back and forth, so I want you to see both terms. Now, when we graph these things, the roots are the x-intercepts on the graph. They're where they cross the x-axis. Now, we spent the last lesson learning how to graph these things, and we could do that with this as well. But if your graph isn't very accurate, then you're not going to be able to get the correct roots from looking at your graph. So we'll use the graphing calculators to generate graphs of these things. And then I'll show you, hopefully on the graphing calculator on the smartboard, how to get the roots out of that graph. Now, one thing that you do need to know is you'll be able to tell from the graph whether you have two real answers, one real answer, or no real answers. And they're going to ask you that along the way. If your graph crosses the axis twice, and it could be upside down from there, it could be going this way, but as long as it hits the axis, the x-axis twice, then you have two solutions. You'll never guess a one solution graph only touches the axis once. And I'll bet you can figure out how many times one with no solutions touches the axis. It doesn't touch it at all. And again, it could be upside down here. But the key is it's not crossing the axis. So they're going to give you some where you have to decide, are there two roots, one roots, or no roots? And the key is being able to count how many times it hits the axis. Okay. When we get to class, like I said, we'll use the graphing calculators to generate our graphs and use that to get our solutions. So you're not going to have to do the heavy lifting of the graphing by yourself. Okay, the calculator will do the heavy work for you. And then it's just a matter of counting how many times it hits the axis. So this lesson, short and sweet, just like me. Hopefully if you had questions along the way, you wrote those down. Bring them in with you, and we'll see you in class.